Okay, good morning, friends. Shalom Aleichem. We're continuing in Mishnah Berura, Daf Hashavua. Siman, Kuf, Tes, Zayin. Perush, Birchas, Rifa'inu. May the learning of Siman Kuf Tes Zayin be a zechus, refuah, l'chol chalei Yisrael. Rifa'inu Hashem v'nei rafei. Heal us, Hashem. We will be healed. Kasha. The question is, the lashon of the pasuk that this tefillah is based on is Rifa'ini Hashem ve'irafei. Heal me, Hashem, and I will be healed. So why do we say Rifa'inu? Afagav da kasav liyachad in mechanin oisay l'rabim. Afagav, excuse me, da kasav liyachad in mechanin oisay l'rabim. Even though there's a tosefta that a pasuk that was said in Lashon Yachid, we do not nickname it for the rabbim. So how can we say Rifa'inu Hashem v'nei rafei? Hani mili bizman shemiskavein likrais. That's when we have kavana to read it as a pasuk. Avuk shomer sedach tefillah bakasha, but when we say it as a tefillah and a request mutter. So even though there's a rule you're not to take a pasuk and make it for the rabbim, that's when you're reading it, but as a tefillah you could. But if you're saying a whole mizmar, then even if you're asking, says Rama, then you can't change the lashon of the pasuk. Says the Mishna Rifa'inu Hashem, v'lo yomer Rifa'inu Hashem Elokeinu v'nei rafei, not Hashem Elokeinu. Ki lishna the crow kach Rifa'inu Hashem v'nei rafei. Tzarich loymer choylei b'tseirei halamid rafei choylei amo Yisrael. Yesh oimrim, some say, Shalo yomer re'ei na v'anyenu, rak re'ei v'anyenu. Aval amagin Avram ve'Eliyahu Rabbo shar gedalim koso she'en losses min amig sha'amrim re'ei na v'anyenu. The Marshal and Shar Chaim say re'ei v'anyenu, but the Magin Avram ve'Eliyahu Rabbo, they say don't move from re'ei na. What do you do? The real answer depends what siddur you use. I think the regular art scroll has re'eva anyenu without the na. The regular art scroll. Not the interlinear, not the... What do you got over there? Dr. Pinchas. Re'eva anyenu, the regular art scroll, re'eva anyenu. Ashkenaz or Sfard? Ashkenaz. Okay. So, what does the Mishnah Berura hold? I don't know. Weiter, in mechanen, vua din shar shinoi. Likewise, any other distinction. Kagoin mi medaber ba'adoi, min ba'adoi lemedaber benoichach. Let's say you want to change a terminology from speaking about to speaking to. You don't change the terminology of the pasuk. Derech tefillah v'yachal espala al choylim b'rifa'inu. You could pray for choylim in rifa'inu. For example, v'yomer rifa'na ploni ben ploni refuah shlema b'toshar chal Yisrael. You say rifa'na ploni ben ploni refuah shlema b'toshar chal Yisrael. I got to change this because in the art scroll it says Yiratzam ofanecha Hashem Elokeinu v'seinu shetishlach meher refuah shlema nashamayim refuah sanevish v'asguf l'choyla ploni ben ploni. By the way, I don't like the ploni business. Stay tuned for tonight's share. You have to do not miss tonight's share. Mamish oyam v'noira. Ploni is gematria the kai chatuma. That's how we don't. Ploni means a bad guy. You don't call someone Ploni. If it's really bad, the word Ploni is basically a really bad word. Anyway. That for sure. Can you imagine?
The top at the end? The top? Oh,
that's a killer. V'hani mili shaloi b'fanav. Avo b'fanav ein tzarich lahaskir shemai. If you're in their presence, you don't have to mention their name. The Mishnah Berura, the Dirshu says like this. You could daven for a chayil and rafa'inu, but to daven every day for the same chayla, the Adara says you should not do that. Because it's almost like your tefillah kavua mechazal is to daven for this chayla. Rav Shlomo Zalman also says you do not daven for the same chayla daily, in other words, you do it occasionally, and then you should not mention the name regularly. Meaning, you want daven for chayla, do it, and then stop. And then if you hear they need, you do it again, and then you stop. But you don't, it's not, these people, they take out laundry lists in the middle of davening. Now, most of the people, they think about Shema Koleinu. They need, please help me pay Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. You can't do that. You can't have set things that you say every day. Okay. What about a chayla that the doctors have given up on? The Rav Shlomo Zalman says you should not be marbe b'tfilas rabim b'firsam, because, meaning once the doctors give up, you cannot hold public tfilos, because if they're not answered, we're choishish for a rifyon in amuna. Wow. What about a chayla mesukan that is experiencing terrible Yisurim and is mitztar harbe? Could you daven for them to die? Says the Shevet HaLevi, even though the Ran in the Dharm Daf Mem writes, you're allowed to, but it's not brought ladina, because it's not really masor biyad kol adam ladas machayla b'matzav, that there's no tikva. But if someone knows somebody in a situation where they're suffering terribly, it could be personally you could daven for somebody to go. The Yesod B'Shar Sh'Avayda says that when you daven for a chaylim who they're not b'nei beisa, you're mekayim the mitzvah le'afta l'reicha kamoicha. You should daven for chaylim even if they're not mevakish from you. And the Yesod B'Shar Sh'Avayda says you should first daven for other chaylim and then daven for a chaylim b'nei beisa, meaning first you daven for others and then you daven for your own. I don't think that's what the Yesod B'Shar Sh'Avayda says. Reb Chaim Kanievsky says not only do you not have to daven for others, you're not allowed to daven for others before you daven for yourself. It's a halacha chayecha koidem. It is. He says it's asur to daven. Let's say you're davening, you have a certain need. People in your family need it, and others need it. You are not allowed to daven for others first. Now the svara of the Yesod B'Shar Sh'Avayda is lamaisa kol mispal al chaveroi hu nenatchila. So it could be the way he gets around it is that's not a violation of chayecha koidim, because that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing it for myself. But I would assume Reb Chaim Kanievsky knows that, and he would say, I'm davening for myself, and then I'm davening for other chaylim so that I should be answered myself also. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean you should daven for the others before you daven for yourself. If I'm not mistaken, Reb Chaim in the book, it's printed in Siach HaShidduch, that he says you're not allowed to daven. Let's say you're davening for a shidduch for someone, for yourself, and then for someone else. You're not. He says you have to daven for yourself first. I would assume the same sort would apply over here. Anyway.
If you're only davening al chavera in order for you to get something, is that really kol al chavera?
I don't think so.
So you have to daven yourself stam.
Yeah, but I'm not doing it for that, but I'm doing it for them.
I'm saying it really is chayecha because I'm davening for them.
But it's not why I'm doing it. It's just why it's not a violation of chayecha koidem.
Underneath, that's what's happening.
Yeah.
So what about a follow about chavera?
Oh, very good, very good. Right. So that's what we're saying, that maybe that's the reason why for the Yesod B'Shar Sh'Avayda that's why you could daven for someone else first. Okay, Berura says in Sivkatan Dalid Asur, right? So loymar afilu im amaray derech tefillah. The Rama says to say a mizmar shalem, even if you say it as a tefillah, you cannot change a mizmar. She'eino imar derech tefillah. If you're not saying it as a tefillah, the Rama would agree to the Mechaber, you can't even change one pasuk. Am haga asar afilu pasuk echad. Meaning, if you're not saying it derech tefillah, ubakasha, the Mechaber says to Rifa'inu Hashem v'nei rafeh, you're allowed to change it. Why? Because you're saying it derech tefillah, but not derech tefillah. The Mechaber says you can't even change one pasuk. The Ramah says even derech tefillah, you can't change a whole mizmar. Let's start Kuf Yud Zayin. Dinei berchas hashanim, the laws of Baruch Aleinu. Berkas hashanim tzarch loimer ba b'mais hagsham sein talamatar. In Baruch Aleinu, you need to say in it in the rainy season, v'sein talamatar levracha. V'sein talumatar. That's what we do. Umaschilin l'shal matar b'chutz la'aretz b'tfilas arvis shal yom shishim achar t'kufas tishrei. We begin to ask for rain in chutz la'aretz in the Mariv of the 60th day of t'kufas tishrei. How do you calculate that? V'yoim ha'tekufa u'b'chalal ha'shishim. The day of the tekufa is included in the 60th day. There's something called tekufas tishrei. There are 4 tekufas of the year. And the 60th day of Tekufas Tishrei is when we begin to say B'sein Talmato Vracha. Lamashal. You know, there's a shah, the Gemara says, Haiman de Yoitze B'Nisan V'chazi Ilane de Kamalavlavi Mevarech Baruch Ata Hashem Chalam Shabara Brios Tovos and so forth. So the question is, what if it's not Nisan anymore? What if it's Iyar? So the Chassam Sofer says, it says Nisan. Nisan is Tekufas Nisan. There's something called Tekufas. It's not the month. It's a chapter of the year. It's a season of the year. Says the Mechaber Vayter, V'yom Tekufa, the day of the Tekufa is B'chlal, the Shishim of Eretz Yisrael, Maschil and Lishom, Milel, Zayin, V'mar Cheshvan. In Eretz Yisrael, we begin to ask from the 7th of Cheshvan, V'shayalin ad filas hamincha shel erev Yom Tov harishon shel Pesach. We ask until mincha of erev Yom Tov of the first day of Pesach, meaning the last tefillah we say the same Talmud of Bracha is erev Yom Tov by mincha misham ve'elch poskim l'shal, and then we stop asking. Says the Mishnah, Hashanim hanusach v'sabeinu mituvecha. Magen Avram b'shem harash v'rashal uvesidor hari kasav mituva. So the authentic nisach is mituvecha. Raise your hand if you say mituvecha. Baruch Aleinu Hashem v'es kol minei suasa l'taiva v'sein tal umatar levracha v'sabienu mituvecha. In many Sidurim it says V'sabeinu mituva. If you daven nusach Ashkenaz, you cannot say V'sabeinu mituva. You're mixing Ashkenaz and nusach Ari. What does the Gra Siddur say? Mituvecha? Mituva. Okay. Regular nusach Ashkenaz is not necessarily nusach Hagra. What are you showing me? The Masuk Midvash? I can't see. V'sabienu mituvecha. Wow, and mituva is in parentheses? Wow, that's in the Masuk Midvash they put in parentheses. Interesting. Let's see what they say over here. Question: how do you say as Hashana Hazois if it's the last day of the year? So Rav Shlomo Kogi says from in Lashon B'nei Adam Yom Echad B'Shana Nikra Shana. I don't understand that answer. The Lashon of Shemana Esrei is not Lashon B'nei Adam. It's not Nedarim. V'oid Shoimedas also the next year. Okay. Anyway, interesting. The Tfilas Arvis, we start in Mariv, Ayin Be'er Halacha. Now, very interesting. The Chai Adam brings in the name of the Pri Chadash, B'di Eved. If you davened and you forgot the same Talumatar, we count Me'es La'es. And Tekufas Tishrei only falls out in 3 or 9 hours in the night or the day. So you never need to go back if you miss the the first Marev, because it's not 60 days Me'es La'es. And if the Tekufa is during the day, you don't even have to go back in Tekufa Shachris. And if it falls out 9 hours in the day, and you daven mincha before, you also don't have to go back. The Pri Megadim brings a Pri Chadash. He says, I don't know if you can rely on it, because we don't paskin like the Avi Ezri. But if you go back, you'll daven again in your masnef. I don't have to go back. It should be a tefillas and daven. I wasn't familiar with this halacha that there is a differentiation depending on when Tekufas Tishrei falls out, whether you need to go back if you miss the same Talamat Avracha. And is anyone going to give you that information, that whether Tekufas Tishrei took place in the Arvis, or 3 hours in the morning, or 9? They give that to you in your calendars? I don't know what kind of calendars they have over there in Israel. In Ezra's Torah calendar, they give you that? In America, we go by the Ezra's Torah calendar. No. You don't have anything that compares to the Ezra's Torah calendar. The halacha is, nothing has the same. Maybe if you show me Luach Eretz Yisrael, then maybe I would go for that. In America, we follow the Ezra's Torah calendar. That's what all shuls in America follow. In Eretz Yisrael, they follow Rabbi Glatstein. It's called Luach Eretz Yisrael. Is it from Rabbi Glatstein? Yeah, it looks like it is. And Reb Nissim Aaron, his son, the Rebbitzin listens to the Shiurim, so we have to be very careful. But what does he say about Tekufas Tishrei? You don't know. Okay. Uve Sefer Machzik Bracha in the Chida, Pasak Behedya Deloik Pri Chadash. The Chida Pasak is not like the Pri Chadash, even though the Chida liked the Pri Chadash very much, and he says he was right for not taking the job in Amsterdam because he would have to listen to the board. Still, the Chida does not agree with the Pri Chadash regarding this halacha. V'gam abal derech Chaim lo yiskar klal shum nafka mina bein yom rishon shayomim v'gam iberagrom ashel chayil lepsikolei de'in halacha karav yabazeh. It sounds like if you're going to forget it the first couple of times, you will go back. But if you remember, it's kedai to be masna that if you don't need to, it should be a tfilas nedava. One more, shal yom shishim. Kolamer b'tfilas arvis shemaschol yom shishim. The marav that begins the 60th day, v'oz yachris hashamish la'achar hakadosh koydem atfila talumatar. Then the chazan announces talumatar. Contrary to what many people think that you can't announce by marav, you do announce. B'chtei sheyedu leimer b'sein talumatar v'im lai hichriz. If you didn't call it out, afal pikein yoimru, you still say it. So for some reason, Mashav Rachmar Hashem is dependent on the hachraza. This is not dependent on the hachraza. Why don't we say, well, some people are not in Marav, and therefore we should start Musaf the next day, or Mincha the next day. It sounds like She'ela is not dependent on hachraza, so since it's not dependent, we don't care if people are there or not. It's not dependent, not tolei on hachraza. Mashav Rachmar Hashem is tolei on hachraza, we need people to be there. Rabbi, have a great day. Chol tov.